footage, 2,100 square feet is slated as a Starbucks, with the remaining 3,600 square feet being used as a medical office and/or personal service or retail. The only cost associated with the zoning change request is the public expense and mailing of public hearing notices to property owners within 200 feet as required by law. There was a total of 6 notices sent out. At this time, the staff would recommend approval.
Thank you, sir. Do we have an owner's presentation? No?
I believe he's on here, isn't he, Aaron?
Is that the speaker for?
I'm not sure which one he's for.
Yeah, Jeff Martin's on here.
Okay. So who's?
Hey guys, we are online. I don't think we have anything specific to present beyond what Aaron has to say, but if you have any questions, we are available.
All right. Thank you, sir. We don't have anybody lined up to speak in favor or against it.
Sir.
And you never heard back from any of the notices you sent?
No, not at all.
All right. Any of the commissioners have anything they'd like to discuss? Any questions, concerns?
I think the only question that I had, and I'm looking for exactly where it was, but there was mention of that there was already a wooden fence separating the residential to the south of this lot, and that in our ordinance we require a masonry fence between residential and commercial areas. But we were going, I guess the recommendation was to allow that wooden fence instead of the masonry fence. I think the residences might prefer to have a masonry fence than a wooden fence to protect them from the noise of the drive-through.
Actually, our ordinance allows for a masonry or a solid fence or a wooden fence. And so that is allowed. The purpose or the actual purpose of the request was because there's a proposed 24-foot wide private drive or a shared access drive that's going to be to the south of there. And so with Cypress Creek already having a wooden fence, a 6-foot wooden fence, they or we didn't feel the need that the Starbucks or the Retail Connection should have to install a secondary fence. So we just went ahead and allowed the current fence that's already up to stand as the buffer.
Okay.
Brian, I noticed the same thing and had the same concern. The one thing I also noticed was the variance was, I guess around, I would assume the trash receptacles and any utilities. You asked for a variance for any stonework, and we're going to put up the same wood fence. Did I read that correctly?
So is that, Aaron, do you want me to field that one real quick?
Sure.
Okay. Basically the request was just the way that we read one of the ordinances was that there was a internally it was a desire to put the masonry fence like what we're doing around the dumpster, but in front of some of the utilities that are along the back of the building. And basically Starbucks requires I'm going to call it an ornamental fence, but it's a fence that is a screen wall between the building and their drive-through. And so they have a specific design that they ask us to do, and we were just wanting to make it, in an effort to be transparent, to say here's what they're asking us to do. It's shown on our building plans that have been submitted, and wanted to make sure that that was covered as well and unquestionable later as far as that wooden designed decorative fence that's on the back side of the building. It's not visible from a public right of way. It's primarily visible from when you're in the drive-through, sitting there looking at the back of the building.
I didn't see, is there a percentage of the total parking spots that are going to be these compact parking spots? I didn't see an exact number.
We do have an exact number. I don't have that number right in front of me. I'm sorry, Aaron, go ahead.
It should be, there is a table to the map that shows I believe it was the Joshua, the detailed site plans. There is a table summary to the left, and I believe it listed 6 of the compact. Well, let me see. Yeah, compact parking spaces provided with 6 spaces.
Right, but all the spaces, we will provide the code required spaces to meet the code required quantity on the basis of the code size. So the 20-foot depth spaces that are specified in the ordinance, we have met the number of spaces within that, with those numbers. The compact spaces are actually excess spaces.
Okay.
Anybody else have any other questions? All right, I will close this public hearing at 6:49. All right, item E. Discuss, consider, and possible action on a request to approve a plan development district and associated detailed site plan on a 1.2348 acre tract of land located at the southwest corner of Joshua Station Boulevard and State Highway 174, being located within the Joshua Station Overlay District with a land use designation of CR corridor retail for the purpose of constructing a mixed-use center for restaurant, personal service, retail, and medical offices. All right, so I guess I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve the plan development as stated.
I'll second that.
All right, Earl, you'll have to turn the video on.
It's on. He's at the
Oh, is
top.
it?
He's doing both video and
Oh,
phone.
I see. Never mind. Yeah, you've got 2 of them up here on our screen.
Yeah, I've got to get a camera for my computer.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Gibson and a second from Earl. All in favor, raise your hand. All right, all opposed? All right, that'll carry unanimous. All right. Moving down to item F, preliminary plat approval of Lot 1, Block 1, American Jedi, addition being a 0.634 acre tract of land situated in the HG Cason Survey, abstract number 156, City of Joshua, Johnson County, Texas, generally located on the east side of North Broadway, State Highway 174, approximately 510 feet south of 4th Street.
In 2016, this property, in combination with the property to the south existing storage buildings, received an approved final plat. This plat was also known as American Jedi. After approval, it was determined that Johnson County Special Utility District didn't have adequate wastewater facilities to service this site. This is what prompted the city to require approval from those utility providers prior to approval of a plat. As such, the plat never was recorded. In 2020, a new application was received for the undeveloped parcel, which is the subject of this approval. The applicant has been working with JSUD and plans have been submitted for review. Prior to a final plat being approved on this property, the city will have to receive notification from JSUD that the water and wastewater construction plans have been approved. The application is for the development of a retail building consisting of 3,834 square feet. The proposed use will be a Domino's Pizza with a pickup window and a retail office use for the remainder. The applicant is aware that they submit a site plan detailing landscaping and all other requirements of the zoning ordinance prior to obtaining a building permit. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you, sir. All right, does anybody have any questions or concerns about this plat or anything they'd like to discuss about it?
And I have a map, I believe, if anyone wants to see exactly where it's located. Is that this one?
Yeah.
Okay, is it map 1 or 2 for this? 2, okay.
All right.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, well, if there's no discussion, I guess we'll entertain a motion on this.
I move to approve this.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Sears.
I second.
We have a second from Commissioner Gage. All right, all in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? Seeing none, so it will pass unanimous. All right, item G. Consider approval of the preliminary plat of lots 1 through 12, block 1, lots 1 through 23, block 2, and lots 1 through 14, block 3 of the Highland Meadows addition, being a 29.71 acre tract of land located in the Dyer-Neuner survey, abstract number 643, and the George Castling survey, abstract number 173, in the city of Joshua, Johnson County, Texas, and containing 47 single-family residential lots and 2 open space lots.
This property is currently undeveloped and it was rezoned to the R1 Single Family Residential District on September 2nd, 2019. The proposed preliminary plat is for 47 single-family residential lots, no less than a half an acre in size, and 2 open space lots. Water is to be provided by Johnson County Special Utility District. The applicant has submitted preliminary construction plans to JSUD for review. No final plat will be approved until the city has received notice that JSUD has approved the proposed construction plans. The applicant is proposing on-site sewer facility, AKA septic, for each lot, or also known as septic for each lot. This development proposes 2 points of ingress, egress onto County Road 1023. They are proposing to dedicate approximately 30 feet of right-of-way, totaling a little over half an acre in size. They have been made aware that they will be responsible for perimeter road improvements and that sidewalks are required not only within the development, but also on County Road 1023. The applicant will need to submit these plans when they submit for final plat. Staff at this time recommends approval.
Thank you, sir. All right, does anybody have any questions, concerns, anything they'd like to discuss about this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask a question. I'd like to address it to the city secretary if I could. I thought the requirement coming out of the county was for 1 acre or 1.1 acres of land if you were going to have septic or aerobic system.
That would
Are
not,
we overriding that for the cities?
that is not something that I would know the answer to. I would refer that to Aaron, since he's the Director of Development Services.
Okay.
The actual requirement is 1 acre for septic systems.
Okay. All right. Now, Aaron, I'm going to ask you a question here.
Okay.
If this council were to override that, how does that affect the ordinance ongoing? Does that mean it will revert back to anybody wanting to put a septic or aerobic on a half acre will be able to do so?
Alex, did you have a comment?
But this is approving the preliminary plat, correct?
Right.
So planning and zoning makes the final decision for preliminary plats. It's not taken to the city council after passing our new ordinance, correct? Yes.
Okay, but it still affects the ordinance, right?
So I think he's saying that this is gonna open the door to, further down the road where,
Yeah.
we'll point out and say, hey, look, the city ordinance says 1 acre, but these people were able to put it in on a half an acre, so, you can't show these type of, privileges there for other people. He's saying this is gonna open the door for,
Right.
this ordinance is basically gonna be not worth anything.
Aaron, correct me if I'm not correct here. This is approving a preliminary plat. It's not approving the aerobic system or any other system, right? It's just a preliminary plat of the property.
And also, I would like to also add that the 1 acre is actually a TCEQ requirement and not an actual ordinance. We're just going by the TCEQ requirements.
Did you say they require a 1 acre?
Yes.
This is Eric Dumas. Could I address that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
My understanding is the state requirement is a half acre. The county minimum is 1 acre. We spoke with Jimmy Ned Wallace before creating this layout to make sure that that wasn't going to be an issue. And we were assured that the septic permits would be approved at a half acre, no less than a half acre.
Okay, I agree with that. What I'm really trying to get to, though, even preliminary plat, final plat, or whatever, this board has the responsibility of following the ordinances set forth by the county and the city. So if we were, if somebody tells me it's okay to do this, then I'm all for it. But if we do this, what does it do to our ordinance going forward? Does it nullify it? Like if I want to build on a half acre, then you got to do it, so why can't I do it? You see what I'm going to here, Brandon? I'm trying to just determine what it does to our ordinance that we have ongoing right now. If it doesn't do anything to it, then okay, I'm out here in the left field.
No, I think it's a good question.
Aaron, this is Courtney Coates. Can I speak to that?
Sure. Go ahead.
Yes.
Currently, your city ordinance, unless it changed from the time we started this development, called to TCEQ for the requirements. TCEQ is the minimum if you're not going somewhere else. So the county doesn't govern City of Joshua's septic requirements. So because of that, the minimum requirement by TCEQ is 0.5 acres. So right now, the minimum size requirement for Joshua is 0.5 acres. So technically, if someone in town has a 0.5 acre lot and they want septic, they can get it through your ordinance, as long as they have enough area for the aerobic to work, unless the city council changes up their ordinance to require a 1 acre minimum lot or larger.
Mr. Coates, I thought the current ordinance in place is 1 acre. Aaron, am I not correct?
No, you're correct, but I wasn't aware of the actual ordinance. What we've been going through or following is what the TCEQ requirements are. And that's where I was basing my 1 acre requirement from. That's the last, I have the actual printout from the TCEQ stating that, you know, it's an acre. There's also a section in there that addresses if you have 2 properties on a lot that are subdivided, that, you know, it can be up to 3/4 of an acre. I mean, that's where I was basing my 1 acre requirement from. I was unaware that there was an actual city ordinance.
Mr. Maldonado, I have the city secretary, she's gonna go pull the ordinance for that.
Okay.
So we can take a look at that before we proceed forward with it. Y'all have to bear with us just a few minutes while she searches for that ordinance so we can take a look at it. But hopefully that'll give us some clarification.
Well, Mr.
Aaron,
Chairman,
you're saying that the TCEQ guidelines were 1 acre minimum now?
Yes.
I think the last that we saw, there was a stipulation for 1/2 acre.
Let me go pull that paper right quick.
It's chapter 285, Aaron.
Okay.
Two 285.4.
285.4.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me just a second, I'm gonna let them know. Or I won't, because it's locked.
Mr. Chairman, can we proceed on with other business and come back to this, or should we wait on an answer for this one?
This is the last thing we have.
Okay.
But I would move on if we had something else.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate it.
So I found the, what I have from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. It states that on platted or unplatted subdivisions served by a public water supply, subdivisions of single-family dwellings platted or created after the effective date of this section served by a public water supply and using individual OSSFs for sewage disposal shall have lots of at least 1/2 acre.
So half acre is appropriate size.
Right.
Gotcha.
Who's talking there?
We
I'm
we
sorry.
reference the TAC guidance when we're in our ordinance, correct? We don't have it set a minimum size specifically.
Right, we have to rely from what TCEQ states.
Sorry. Yeah.
And Ms. Holloway, you said that you did search for aerobic systems and we couldn't find anything.
That's correct. I just did a quick search, typed in aerobic system, and nothing put up under any city ordinance. Mr. Merle, when you
Yes,
said
ma'am.
a city ordinance, do you remember reading an actual city ordinance regarding this topic?
You know, Alice, I'm pretty sure that we, and I'm sorry for taking up time tonight, gentlemen. I'm pretty sure that we passed an ordinance based off the county stating 1 acre or 1.1 acres had to be acquired for an aerobic or a standardized, which I think has gone away with anyway. I think you got to do aerobics now instead of lateral line systems. But that's an ordinance on that. Okay, like I said, I stand corrected if we didn't, because I personally thought we had. Do
you remember when it was that we passed that? I mean, we just. Well,
I'm sorry, I can't. No, I'm going to have to abstain from that one because I don't know. It's been so many. It's been 4 years. Or well, more longer than that since I've been out of office. And but if you can't find one, then I'm all with this, but I just thought we had one. I was concerned going forward what it would do, if we enacted a half acre and it turned out to be an acre, okay? Which I don't know. Once you set the precedence, then you have to go forward with it,
Right. And
I
don't think there is an ordinance. I could be wrong, but I wanted to point out another section in here that's stated under the TCEQ is that if you have a subdivision that is not served by a public water supply, then the lot shall have at least 1 acre. But this development will be supplied by a public water supply, so therefore, the half acre is what it's saying that it should have.
Mr. Fleming, one way we could do this, if they want to approve it, is approve it with the conditions that it meets all city, or it follows all city ordinances. So if we do find something tomorrow that it does not, then it would have to come back to P&Z. That's an option.
Appreciate that.
On our ordinances in section 10.10.1 under lotting requirements and section B, minimum size, it says all lots that are not served by a public or quasi-public community wastewater system shall contain a minimum lot area as required by the city of Joshua to support a private septic tank and leach field. But I can't find where we might have that minimum lot area defined in the ordinances.
Well, and this subdivision is supplied by public water, so.
Oh, not served. You're right. Well, it says not served. Okay, yeah, all right, gotcha.
And Laurel, I just wanted to speak to that real quick, that we did just here recently adopt all new ordinances, which probably wiped out the ordinance that you remember passing.
That's very well true. You could be very well true.
Yeah, it hadn't even been a year yet since we adopted it, so we adopted a whole big thick packet.
Correct. We adopted a whole new planning and zoning ordinance and a whole new subdivision ordinance.
So you probably do remember correctly. I think we probably just wiped it out.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Like I said, I hate to bring that up. I just didn't want to set a precedence here going the opposite direction,
No, absolutely. We appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
Alice brought up a good point that we could pass it with conditions tonight. And if they found out different, then they could make them go back and utilize that ordinance. Okay. So if that be the case, I'll be more than happy to make a motion to pass with the conditions. If they do find something, that's still valid, that hadn't been overturned, then, they have the right to go ahead. Okay.
Mr. Morrell, so to make sure the minutes are correct, you'll make the motion to approve it with the stipulation that it meets all city ordinances, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Before we move to a second, was there any more discussion? Any other questions or concerns?
Could I ask a question?
Yes, sir. Go right on ahead.
So just a little background. We've been working on this development for quite some time, and it's been through a complete city review to get to this point. I understand that there is a question about what the ordinance says or doesn't say regarding the septic systems and minimum lot requirements. The only thing that I would request is that if there are conditions put on, finding out whether or not applicable ordinance, could we please put a time frame on that so that we have an answer going forward as to what we need to do instead of, kicking the can down the road and hopefully finding out before final plat approval.
Certainly.
Staff can review it tomorrow morning, first thing.
Okay.
If there is something that we find that's not correct, then if P&Z is okay, we can call a special meeting, within a week maybe, just to address the issue here. And so everybody's on the same page and we know what's being approved and what's not.
And if you could, after you guys review it, if you could email us saying, that you did find something or that you didn't find it, so that way.
Absolutely.
Either way.
Okay, absolutely.
Appreciate that.
I did have one question on the detention ponds, actually. It looks like detention pond 1 goes to detention pond 2, which goes into a creek if it ever fills up. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And then from detention pond 1 to detention pond 2, that's underground, if I'm understanding this correctly.
That's correct.
Who is responsible for making sure that access from detention pond 1 to detention pond 2 is maintained?
The detention ponds are maintained by the HOA. And since the two ponds themselves function as a single detention pond, though there's two ponds, they're tied in such a manner that they function as one. The HOA would also be responsible for maintaining that connection.
And how exactly does detention pond 2 get into that existing creek bed? Because we're going to be pouring more water in that one section of that creek than has probably been there in the past.
Actually, because the creek was already there, we're pouring in within like 0.05 CFS of the same amount. It's just that it'll flow for a little longer. So
Okay.
it comes out of a concrete V-notch weir, and then it'll go through some velocity dissipation and spreader, and then it'll go right back where it was. We were a little bit lucky on this one because that creek was already there, so we're just putting it back where it was. We're not concentrating a flow that wasn't already concentrated. So
And is that creek on this lot, this plat?
the
Whose property is that creek on, I guess is my question.
both, it crosses off of this property onto the neighbor's property.
Okay.
So we're getting it. We will be back into the historic drainage way at our exit.
Okay.
Mr. Coates, this is Merle Brightenstein again. Can I ask you a quick question?
You can ask a couple.
I was just thinking of something here. You've already been through the city and everything. Is this a planned development we're talking about?
This is not a planned development.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
If I may go and note that Commissioner Gage is no longer on the system.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for hearing this. All right. Is there any other questions or concerns? Nope. All right. So we
have a
already
motion.
have a motion to approve from Commissioner Brightenstein with some stipulations here that will meet the city's requirements by all ordinances. We'll check on that tomorrow. So do we have a second?
There he is.
I'll second.
All right. We're going to give Mr. Gage here just a second to get his video back on. So we can,
I'm back on. I'm back on.
all right. All right. Well, you're just in time for the vote. So all in favor, raise your hand. And Commissioner Gage, is that a yes from you?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All opposed? Saying no, we will pass that. It's unanimous.
Thanks, folks. I appreciate it. Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Item H, future agenda items requested by commissioners to be on the next agenda. Does anybody like, want to have something on the next agenda to review? All right. Well, thank you for all being here tonight, and we will adjourn this meeting. 7:18.
Thank you, officer.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Commissioner.